Love espresso, drip coffee, and cold brew? With the Ninja Luxe Cafe, if you can crave it, you can brew it. Espresso, balanced. Drip coffee, rich. Cold brew, in a flash. With Barista Assist technology, you brew with no stress and no guesswork. And make perfect silky microfoam hands-free from dairy or plant-based milks. Bring the coffeehouse home and unlock your favorites with the Ninja Luxe Cafe.
Weight loss solutions are not one size fits all. Hers makes it simpler to get started and stick with a weight loss plan, backed by expert-guided online care that puts your weight loss goals first. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full up front. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.
Take me out to left field. Give me a shot of Fireball. Give me some high fives from Mark Pena and a hug from Jeff Cross as we stand on top of the tables. Hearing the horns, that's a blast. For it's 1, 2, 3 shots from the cannon with the ladies of left field.
Hey y'all, it is game time with the Ladies of Left Field. I am Jordan here with Katie and Kasey.
Hello. Hey y'all. Today we have a very special guest on our podcast, Coach Ty Harrington. Woohoo! Many of you of our listeners out there know him as the longtime coach at Texas State. He was there from 2000 to 2019. But if you are even more of a Longhorn baseball fan, you know he was a letterman in the late 80s or the middle 80s. He was on our great baseball teams, and he also was a student and graduate assistant coach with Coach Gus, Coach Bethay, and some of our glory times back then. So we're very excited and happy that you are joining us, Ty.
Yay.
Well, I'm glad to be here. First of all, I would tell you this. I got really excited when you said the late 80s because I felt a couple years younger already. haven't been on already on the show. I was like, well, man, I think heard of that, the 90s. And so, but no, I love it. You put it there. It was a glory days. It's crazy. The 80s were so much fun for a lot of reasons, right? If you grew up in it, it was a different time in space, and for a lot of us, but for college baseball, it was. I've said this before, whether I'm right or wrong doesn't matter only to me. But the 80s were like the beginning of what you see today, because it became ESPN and college baseball. You would hear the metal bat thing on TV as opposed to a wood bat in professional baseball, and it started to kind of identify, college baseball as a different game. And all 4 of us right now are doing this podcast, but if you watch each of us turn to our left and or right, we're probably watching LSU and Arkansas play as we're speaking. So, but that just goes to show just how much college baseball changed. And man, I've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of it.
Yeah, I know. We're so excited to hear more about it, hear about your experiences, Ty, as a player, as a coach, and then your insights, on the game now, on the game that we're all watching. This is a big game right now. LSU and Arkansas, SEC powerhouses. We joke, Kasey all the time loves to joke that, since Texas has come to the SEC, we have really dominated, when they thought we wouldn't maybe. So that's been fun. But I think real quick, y'all, before we get to Ty, we always start this show off with quick hot girl headlines, we like to call it, just across sports. We're getting closer to the dead time of sports. But Kasey, you want to tell us a little bit about some golf that's happening?
Yes, this past weekend we had the U.S. Open, the third major of the golf season, and it was quite the golf tournament. Super crazy ending on Sunday. The scores were so low, high, however you want to describe that. But I mean, it was to win with was it -2 or minus? I mean, and like this, just the course was a complete beast, all of them. But JJ Spawn came back and had that clutch back nine. It's pretty amazing. He bogeyed 5 of the first 6 holes and then came back to win. So he is your U.S. Open champion 2025.
And that final putt, man, was amazing. That was cool to watch. Yeah.
Yep.
And right now on Father's Day is always cute.
Yeah.
All the questions about Father's Day, I love it. That's why even talking about a College World Series too. I love some of the networks will always do talking to dads watching their kids play, which I think is so cool. It always makes me tear up a little bit.
I know, so sweet. I know having his 2 girls there was so cute, and his wife, JJ Spawn, so that was awesome. And that's all the backstory about him is really inspiring as well.
Yeah.
All right. Only other big thing is go Thunder. I don't know. I think they're going to take it. Game 6 is on Thursday. They're a big favorite now, especially with Halliburton down with this calf injury. Coach Rick Carlisle saying that they don't even know if he'll suit up. I bet he will, but I bet his time will be super limited in Game 6. So it's looking good for the Thunder if that's who you're cheering for, like the team I've decided to cheer for.
And the only other thing, if we put a bow on the NHL season, Florida Panthers are your back-to-back NHL champions. That will be my last hockey update until the Stars hire a new coach. So there you go. You're done listening about hockey.
One more quick little tidbit is Mia Scott, our softball Longhorn, got drafted by the Volts, which is Kat Osterman is the coach for that. So she's stepping into the professional ring, if you will. And I guess she had said she wasn't going to. And then I guess I'm not sure how all that works, if they just drafted her and took a chance that she would change her mind. I don't know. But anyway, so good for her.
Yeah, good for me. Yeah, so quick updates on the College World Series for those of you who are not as into it like us. Like Ty said, you're not watching all the time, on your phone, on your TV, wherever chance you get. But a couple of big things have happened here just recently. Earlier today, Coastal Carolina really dominated 11-3 over Louisville. And the Coastal winning streak is pretty awesome. It's like a 26-game winning streak. They're 56-11 right now. And so, they're securing a spot in the best of 3 title series. So I don't know. I'm here for it. Go Coastal. Any thoughts on Coastal, y'all?
They're looking really good to me. I mean, they can hit the ball, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even today, I heard them say that, it was all hitting. Like Louisville only walked 1 guy, if I heard that right. So, I mean, it's not like they're, taking advantage of bad pitching or errors and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. It's good. And winning 26 games in a row is very impressive and not very normal. So,
yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to jump in or not on this or not, but
yes, yeah, you are definitely.
yeah. Well, I would say it is. It's crazy. Coach Stahl, who is the head coach now for Coastal, the year Coastal in 2015 when they won the national title, that very next season, they moved into the Sun Belt with us, and so you can imagine what that looked like for us, for everybody. All of a sudden you get a new team in your conference, and oh, by the way, they won a national championship, and we also got Southern Miss at the same time as well. And Coach Stahl's an unbelievable guy. He was with Gary Gilmore, and Gary, who really got the program going at Coastal, and obviously was the head coach in 2015, who stepped away, retired a year ago. And when you go there, it's a beautiful ballpark, right? College baseball is, what they were known for. Now they've expanded their athletic department to more. But if you're around the college game a lot, like you guys are, you recognize the name, you recognize their success, and you recognize how great a program it is. Yep. What a lot of people don't know is they're like, wait a minute, Coastal Carolina, who is that? And now they're going to play for their second time to Omaha. They're going to play for their second national championship. And interesting, today came across the game, not that I was watching it at my office, but just in case somebody that they talked about, there were a handful of teams that had that their first 2 times they had gone, they'd won national titles. Texas was one of them at 49 and 50. And then I think Yale was another one, and I think they named a couple of other ones that had, the first couple of times they'd gone that they'd won national titles. But the Coastal certainly have a chance. They can really, really fish.
Yeah.
I mean, really fish. And I had them here 3 times in San Marcos when they played Texas State. They won 1-0 game 1, lost game 2, 1-0. They came back and I think and won 5-0 or something like that. And I think that there wasn't hardly any runs scored. And even Coach Snow admitted, and I visited with him before the game on Friday, and he talked about, hey, this isn't a typical Coastal team where it's just all offense, or they've been a power-oriented type team. Their ballpark plays it as well. He said, we can really finish. And that was before the game on Friday. And I got to look at that, or look at the numbers, and I got to watch it. And they didn't disappoint when it comes to, showing what they can and can't do. So it'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of people thought the 2 best teams were playing right now, Arkansas and LSU. I think on paper, that's real. The one thing I would say is I felt like at the beginning, I had LSU a couple times this year, and saw them in February even, and I had them in Globe Life, and it was a different offense than what LSU had been. And even Jay Johnson, before the game, when I spoke with him, he was talking about, I said, hey, you guys, y'all hit and ran, they squeezed, they safety squeezed, they drag bunted, they double steal or stole twice against DBU in a game that they played back in February. And I remember asking him, I was like, hey, what's going on? He was like, hey, I'm a West Coast guy. I like to be able to put signs on and run plays and do different things. And so their offense kind of fit for it a little bit. LSU and Arkansas, 2 of the more talented. Jay Johnson, who has built his offense to be able to play in every ballpark. The wind's going to blow out tonight, I think is what I read or heard before the game. And then tomorrow was supposed to blow dead ends. Whether there's a game tomorrow or not, tonight will probably dictate that, obviously. But anyway, look, this thing's been, with Coastal, it's been fun. With Arkansas, you're looking at one of the more talented teams, and then LSU. Obviously, if you're a Texas fan, everybody gets a little bit. I think will be a tremendous rivalry, personally, in the SEC. We already have a built-in one with the Aggies, and it's been that way for since the beginning of time. And but now with LSU, because I think if you ask a bunch of the ex-players, there's that rivalry because they've got one more national championship.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, and everybody's got pride, right?
Yep, absolutely. Well, it's funny that you bring up. It's fun hearing your perspective on the LSU offense. It's something that we've talked about this year for Texas's offense. Being around a while, Kasey loves some Augie ball, loves a bunt, loves getting players on base. And it's something that maybe has not happened as much this season. And so that's funny that you bring that up. And it is kind of cool to see LSU doing that more than they typically have been known for. So speaking of Arkansas too, I want everybody to know we can't go without talking about, how pitcher Gage Wood, really etched his name in College World Series history, throwing the first no-hitter in the tournament in 65 years and striking out 19 batters. When they beat Murray State, we were all kind of had a little Cinderella hope for Murray State. How could you not? Feel good story. But yeah, the pitching of Arkansas is looking, pretty solid as well.
And I think Arkansas caught a break too, and we'll see if it paid off because coming through the losers bracket, they used one arm. Yep. In that game that day, right? And then LSU, they had to start a game, use one of their arms, and then stop the game and then go to the next day and end up using multiple arms to finish that game. And then when if they're able to beat LSU, it possibly could come into play.
Yes. I did. There was one little tidbit, though, that I was like, was the other 2 the very first no-hitter thrown at the College World Series was by a Longhorn, Jim Erler, in 1950. So it's kind of like, okay, they still haven't one-upped us. We already had that in the record. I'm very much like that.
I know. Gotta love. Kasey has the best UT facts, man. She's always making sure that we're still like a little on top.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of pride, Woo, there we go.
Yep. So here's a question. Ty, what are some of your favorite memories from Omaha personally as a player, like when you got to go as a player and then, on the coaching staff?
About, there's the 84 team was my freshman year. We went, they had just won the national title in 83. And, Greg Swindell was so good that year, is our freshman year. And he carried us from a pitching perspective that year. I think he had 18, 19 wins. I can't remember how many it was, and maybe 3 or 4 saves along the way too, right? And but that team was I was very that year before they won it. As I'd signed with Texas, my dad and mom drove up there and went to watch the games, and then hurried home so we could watch the final games on ESPN. To watch the last couple of games that we weren't there, and but it was my first time to put a uniform on, and to be in a dugout at Rosenblatt Stadium. So that will always be a special moment in my life to have been a part of that 84 team, and ended up getting beat by an Augie team, and Fullerton and Eddie Delzer, and got beat, and but still played the national championship game. Very few people can talk about how being in national championship games. And one thing I will remember, and this is interesting, it happened that night after we got beat by Fullerton. Now we were waiting on our yellow bus, a yellow belly school bus, to pick us up, and all the Texas fans were always, hanging around right outside the bus. And then, everybody, it was a really emotional night. We got beat, our parents, everybody. When it all started to slow down, we were waiting on the bus there. We were waiting at the bus. Now, the bus was there, and we were waiting for Coach Gus. And, who knows? I can't remember who the players were that were finishing their interviews, and we were all just standing out there. And Doug Otto said one of the most incredible things, that he didn't mean anything other than it was the truth. And he looked at us, there was about 5 of us standing there, and he goes, who remembers finishing second? And I was just standing there as a little snotty-nosed, freshman, and I was like, ugh. He goes, the guys who do.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, another, 4 or 5 guys came off the bus, and everybody was waiting, still. And everybody caught on to the conversation, and it was the first time that there was this conversation about, we're coming back. We'll be back next year, right? And we'll be back to win. And as it turned out, we were back in 85. We came back again. Unfortunately, got beat in the national championship game again in 85. And what was the best, probably overall team I'd ever played on by far, as far as talent and just offense. There was just so many things about that World Series that year alone. Was Will Clark and Paul Merrill, those guys sneaked in. Pete Incavilla and all the Oklahoma State guys, all of our guys that were big leaguers out of that team. Arizona State, Bonds, McDowell, Denver. All those guys were. I mean, it was the most big league riddled World Series you could imagine. And there we were with a chance to win it, and ended up, unfortunately, weren't able to get it done. But I just remember that next day that right before we all got on the bus, from everybody going, we'll be back. Now think about that, how hard that is to make it all the way back again to a national championship game. And so that was the memories of, believe it or not, you would walk into Rosenblatt as a team while the other game was going on.
Yeah.
And one of our guys had like this stereo system on their shoulder. We were walking in, listening to some song, it was like our team walk into Rosenblatt with fans already there, right? Because there was a game going on. Yeah. And then I'll share this one last thing with you. So in 87, my senior year, we were in the back out in the outfield taking BP or doing something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. And Ben McDonald was throwing for LSU against Stanford. And the bases loaded, they brought Ben in. And I look at advantage of what I'm about to say, and it's only in my mind that's what matters most. But to me, and that was that, Ben ended up giving up a grand slam to Paul Carey, and Stanford won. And he got Paul Carey out with 2 outs. We would have played LSU, and LSU's pitching staff was depleted. And instead, we got Stanford. And I think Mike Messina or McCarthy, I can't remember which one, ended up carving us up and beating us, which was our last game. And we ended up getting eliminated in semifinals, and Stanford went on and won the World Series that year. And so I mean, Rosenblatt was always, such a cool spot, right? And you're the black dirt, and which was different than most fields, had a different color to it and tint to it, and just how welcoming and how just unbelievable that town and that moment and that time and space in each of our lives, and just how special it was will always be a tremendous memory for me.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Well, that kind of tees up my next question, because I was going to ask about your thoughts on Rosenblatt versus Charles Schwab TD Ameritrade, whatever it's called now.
Yeah, good Chuck.
Yeah, it's a lot. Rosenblatt was a more offensive ballpark. That'd be part of it. And it had the middle grandstands, and it had the old minor league ballpark, feel to it. It's always going to be special to people like us that were there to watch games, to be a part of games, playing games, coaching games. That's always going to carry a special place, or it should anyway. Mm-hmm. And that part always will. And the new ballpark, the first time I went, I just remember walking down from downtown into center field, and it just sounded modern and how beautiful it was, but also how big it was. Mm-hmm. The stadium and the ballpark, the playing field itself was a big stadium. And just, but it was just new. The last year I was in Omaha as a coach, I went back as a junior college coach because I had some players that played in the national championship game for USC and Arizona State. They'd put in the box up in the left, would have been right field line or third or first base line down there, and they'd be done some boxes and different things. But I'll tell you what, if you think about this, when I hear the word Omaha, I always start thinking of the organ that plays during the game.
Oh, yeah.
And just, you don't hear that many places, right? But it was always in Omaha. Mm-hmm. And it's just, if you go back even to the 80s in Rosenblatt, they would hit a foul ball. If you hit a foul ball and go up on the net, right? And it would come running down and sliding down there. They'd have a person running out of the gate and run out there and catch the ball off the street, right? And just how clean and how wonderful and just how beautiful that place was and is, and it just, the representation of college baseball is, truthfully for me.
Yeah, as a fan, I spent way more. I went to Rosenblatt way more than I've been to the Chucks. So maybe that was just like that when the Longhorns were going all the time as well. But we had plenty of good times. We knew how to tailgate in that parking lot really well. And
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys, what's y'all's favorite memory of whether of Omaha, whether it's Rosenblatt or the new one? What are y'all's favorite memories of it?
Mine was 2002. Got to go. I went to like every game except for one. I got lucky, and I was already working in the football office, and I got to fly up on Bill Duvall and Baker Montgomery. Yeah. Had a plane, and they were going up for the very first game. And that's Houston Street was, pitching. So they were taking James and Janie, and they were just like, they knew I was such a Longhorn, baseball avid, and they were like, "You want to just jump on this?" And I'm like, "Yeah," So, went up for that one, just up and back. So that was like, cool, rich person style. And then when we won, after we won, like the next game, there was me, Stacy, Jackie, a couple of Jackie's brother. We jump in Stacy's mom's minivan and truck it all the way up there, and then we end up. Mark and Katie we had just met them earlier in May, and they somehow call us, and we were like, "Come on, you got room." They crashed on our hotel room floor. It's awesome.
I was going to say, that was the first. And then 2005, Mark and I joke, I think we were there the entire time. I mean, we were there for like 14 days, and we joked that we were washing clothes at our extended stay, hotel, motel, because we were like, "Are we living here? Are we ever going back?" And, we made lots of friends, and I think we went to the zoo for a day because we needed something else to do. But then all of a sudden, players from multiple schools. I mean, this is probably something that, shouldn't be, I won't say exactly which schools, but I don't know. Maybe our tailgate started to be known. It was really close to the stadium. It was like right around where you kind of drove through, and we would play wiffle ball games out there all the time as we're enjoying beverages and everything else. And then like multiple times, like team players from various colleges, that were playing in the College World Series would see us or come by to like watch a game. They all stop and play wiffle ball with us, like multiple times. And so that was fun. Also, we were known to be at the casino a time or two. And saw all kinds of players doing all kinds of things. And we realized I didn't play so well the next day. You were like, yeah, but lots of fun. We also got to, got blessed with some good tickets, but also figured out that if you, at the time at Rosenblatt, every morning, they would sell like, I don't know, like whatever tickets weren't used, or somehow they had all these leftover tickets, but you had to wait in line early in the morning. And if you got there and waited in the ticket line, you could get really good seats. Like people would, I guess, turn theirs in or something. And so they would sell them at really reasonable prices. So, we had a rotation of getting there at gosh knows what time in the morning, almost like sleeping, there on the concrete and being ready to get in and get all the extra tickets we could get for all of our friends that were coming up too. So, yeah, it was fun. I say Rosenblatt was a good time.
See, and I'm a little bit younger than everybody else, so I actually never got to see Texas play in Rosenblatt. So probably my coolest College World Series memory is I was in Omaha in 2018 for work, and lucked out that Texas. I'd already been slated to be there for work regardless. So when Texas made it, I got to be out on the field during practice day, and actually got out on the field for a couple of the couple innings during the game. So that's probably my coolest Texas in Omaha experience, because that was one of the only times since I've been around that I could go.
Yeah.
Well, it's a neat spot. It's interesting too. When I was a junior college head coach, I think about this. I haven't thought about this in years until you guys brought this up. But I had like 3 or 4 kids that were in the World Series that next year. I'd been a head coach at Northeast for a couple of years, I think. And then Skip Johnson and I drove up together. And then Tim Tadlock was going to meet us there, but something happened and he couldn't get it. But we all were meeting up there to go watch our kids play, because we were all a bunch of junior college brats, and had a blast. I mean, like, we were staying at Motel 6 or whatever it was, and we didn't know any different anyway, right? We were all junior college coaches. That's what that's what you did. Yeah. And when I look back at it now, and both of those guys have been back as head coaches, and rightful and how great their careers have been as well.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So fun.
That's really cool.
Well, so Mark asked us. We had Mark on last week, and he asked us a funny question. And speaking of different stadiums, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. So Mark asked us if we had any thoughts on how the dish could be improved for the fan experience. Really using it anyway, but we had some interesting insights on how the dish could be changed or improved for the fans. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, everybody's got these grand illusions about maybe, I say, what if we did this, right? But what you're limited to, because of roads and different things like that. Always thought it would be so special, cool to have left field right into the right of you guys. Well, I guess to the right of you if you're looking out, and to have toward that score above Yeti, to have left field bleachers. I think it would be interesting to see if they could almost do what they've already done in the Yeti yard to create something similar to that again. I don't know what else. We're so landlocked. I don't know whether we're the 41st acre or still on the 40. I'm not sure, but we're it's a little bit of we're landlocked. As to what can be done. I guess we can always go higher.
They're going to go up. Yeah.
Yeah. The only real estate left in Austin is in the air, and so this won't probably not any different.
Yeah. Yeah. You had some of the same thoughts that we did. We were like, put a Yeti yard in right field. Go up Did the Gus Pavilion in the left field. Yeah, we were thinking the same things. You know, it's like finding room for friends to hang together.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's key. So yeah, we were like, you know, we have our left field just because we want to hang out and be social more than anything else. I mean, most of us have season tickets out there, so it's just about hanging with your friends and watching the game at the same time. But yeah, all right, fun. Thanks, Coach. All right.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest, Reed, you guys have a little special niche in the world out there, and it is a special niche in the world. And now it's our world because we all, you know, are you know, fond of disc golf and Texas baseball and in different ways, and but it is a special, unique niche in the world.
Yeah.
Coach, I was going to ask a little bit more kind of about your transition now from coach to media analyst. How has that been?
It's been awesome. It may not be for y'all, but it is for me. And so I love it. So, hey, look, in my mind, it's fun and it's good for me. So I'm, you know, it's been great. Look, I got, that fell in a unique way, right? I wasn't planning on it at all. The only thing I had ever thought about was when I got out, I talked about, or in my mind, I thought, well, maybe they let me do some radio here or there, or do whatever, you know, something like that. But that was it. And then you know, ESPN Plus, the platform really grew, and Texas State, you know, said, hey, how would you like to do this? I was like, I don't know, sure. It'd be great, I guess. And they were like, well, come in. I went in and auditioned, for lack of a better word. And so I actually auditioned calling a game, my last game as a coach, actually. And so it was really weird. And we only did like a couple innings, and then we got done. It was really kind of, after I got done, I was like, well, I was kind of emotional a little bit too, because I had not seen it. You know, since we'd got beat, we thought we were still moving on into the regionals, and so anyway, but I auditioned with it, and then I liked it. You know, I worked with you know guy that was really, really good, and we worked probably you know, I don't know how many games, and then COVID hit that next year, and shut it down, and then this is a true emotion. I was never out of love with baseball. I had been to a point in my career, my personal life had changed. There were some other things, you know, changed professionally. I wasn't, you know, as I didn't have the same love for the game as I once had. I didn't know it completely. And then when I got back into the TV part and even radio too with Craig, man, I fell back in love with it. And everything that was going on with it from 30,000 feet. I could see the game differently. I saw the game so cleaner. I saw just how beautiful it really is as a game again, without having so much emotional involvement. I'd lost that, and all of a sudden my eyes got clear, and I saw the game for the perfect game that it can be, and how beautiful it can be, and I saw it again, and it was so fun for me and so enlightening for me, and so it was, you know, it was a not a breakup, a total breakup between me and the game, and it was like we were separated for a little bit, and then got back together, and it was, you know, when you get back with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, man, the first month is unbelievable again, right? And so, in a lot of different ways, and so it was, it just re-engaged me for something that had been a part of my life, my whole life. Look, I had 2 jobs prior to me getting out of college baseball. I only had 2 jobs. I had a paper route, and I was a college baseball coach, and that was it. I worked summer camps. As Kasey and I worked summer camps with Coach Gus, but that doesn't count. And so that was it. So yeah. So it wasn't. Nobody taught me. Like I've never been taught anything. I've never been told don't do this or do that. So my first year that I did it, people would I would talk over the play-by-play. I didn't know any different, right? And then some guy would, hit me on the ribs and he'd go, it's awkward. My trial is probably screwing up everybody else's show. And then hopefully it got a little better. And then when I moved into the transition to radio with Craig, it was unbelievable, right? I mean, you're working with, I was nervous. I had been nervous. When I would do TV stuff, I wasn't as nervous. I was more anxious. To tell the story, right? But when I worked with Craig, I got nervous. I was like, oh my God, this guy's known Craig for a long time. But here I am about to go on with him. I'm like, I may not say anything till the fifth inning. What am I going to say? I'm going to stay in my corner and not say anything. And that didn't work out that way. But anyway, and he was and has been a great guideline for me too on that part of it. All the way I've met some other, directors and producers and people that have tried to help me out a little bit. But the biggest thing for me was I think, and again, it only matters to me. I think I sometimes have a different angle than some people because it's a coach's perspective. Mm-hmm. Not just the player perspective, but a coach's perspective too, and what a coach is going through, and what's going through his mind, and not just the personality of one player, but the personality of 35 guys and the game, and then the other 35 guys that you're competing with. And so there's a different perspective at times that, I might can have, whether it's entertaining or not, or good or bad, that's all for everybody else to decide. But it is a little bit different perspective, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think that's such a good point.
I would love for us to have you, Greg, and Keith calling all of our games.
Oh, yeah. No, be unreal.
To watch, yeah. I mean, that would be the best. Because,
it'd be unreal because you got two great players.
Yeah.
In Keith and Craig, and that have done it a long time. I mean, Craig and Keith and Z, and that have been doing it a long time, right? And they're comfortable together and in their sequence and their cadence of how they say things, and then again, I mean, it's my perspective is not going to be too much different, but it is. There are times that it does come out, probably a little bit different, as to what might be what's about to happen, possibly. And look, the game, as unpredictable as the game is, it's what might happen is probably a little more predictable, as oftentimes what the outcome is. And I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I think having that coaching perspective is huge. Just out of curiosity, are there any coaching decisions during this College World Series that have really caught your eye? Anything you're like, oh, that was super bold or risky, or like you said, kind of the LSU, kind of getting more guys on base. It's not quite typical. Anything else like that?
No, man, everybody really performed in their personalities, in their team personalities so far. I don't if I'm saying that the right way. Like they've done a little bit of what they do. And, and each of them have different personalities, and they stick with it, or they've stayed with it, so far. The hardest part now is, from a coach's perspective, is managing your arms, to have arms to win, to have arms to stay in it. But ultimately, these 4 teams, these teams want to win the national championship. They're there to win the national championship. Going back to what I just told you, that only people remember who finished second are the people who do, right? So they're trying to figure out, how do we manage our bullpen and our starters to give us a chance to win the national championship. And if you watch them, historically, nobody gets overexposed because they're looking at the next moment. You watch, LSU have to manage it. They got So they were able to go to somebody. They were able to pitch in a different way than they would have if they'd have been tied and or chasing a run. And no days, no games tomorrow. They'd had to start putting for another game then. And so all that starts to come into a coach's mind. They'll have a list of, here are the arms we're going to throw today. If it schedules out, it goes right. Here's what we're going to do if it goes sideways. And here's what we're going to do if it goes sideways our way.
Yeah.
Meaning we're going to be able to throw a guy that maybe hadn't thrown a month or whatever that might be, kind of thing. And, but I think everybody so far, the personalities, everybody's kind of done what they do. Louisville loves to run, they ran something. Everybody, they love to bunt, they did that. You're going to watch Coastal do the same thing, by the way. Coastal's, they're going to play a smaller game too. They're going to make you defend the whole field, not just not just defending the batter's box, which is where a lot of power. Arkansas probably spends more time just making you defend the batter's box, meaning that they're a lot of power and they're going to swing more often. They're going to get X amount of swings in any game and try to land on so many balls. And I think LSU, when they get to it in a tighter game, you'll see them go to a little bit smaller part of their game as well.
Okay.
So this is kind of shifting away from the College World Series and just more about baseball in general. How would you describe the state of college baseball like now in 2025 and moving forward, and especially with NIL and transfer portal and everything that's going on?
You don't have enough time. Y'all don't have enough time. Let me start off by saying, you probably asked the wrong guy in the sense that if you guys have got plans tonight, or if you're really wanting to watch the night thing in this game. And look, let's start with the portal NIL. I think what's been interesting, I've had this discussion only twice so far, and again, right or wrong, it's just it seems to be feeding this way or leaning this way. Is the portal, I think originally, and I think everybody thought was going to lead to a complete separation of some Power 5 programs. And what we've seen is, whether it stays this way, I don't know, but what has been indicated is that, some of the other schools have been able to press it and get into, like Murray State, which we would see every 7 years. You'd see a team like that arrive, right? I'm using that number, just sounds good. But the reality is, the portal has created this time and space where if you're not playing, you don't have to sit there forever to work your way through it or stay there long enough. And then or have them bring somebody back over the top of you as well, which, happens in certain places. And that's nobody's fault. That's just the way that's what the game is right now. And that's the way it is. And I think you're seeing guys, from some of these, bigger programs go to, their junior year, maybe even the senior after they graduated, and you get the benefit of one, you got an older player transferring with a lot of experience that's been in a Power 5 school that, has faced those arms in practice every day, and has been in big games, per se, but maybe just wasn't a full-time starter on the mound or offensively. And so the portal has created that opening for somebody to have an option. I want to go play immediately. And I think it's, allowed that. As far as the NIL space, I don't know what it's done. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion, in my opinion, that really, I think we need, for anybody to pass complete judgment on it right now, I think they need to take in a 3-year period of what really happened. Who's really getting this amount, right? Who's really doing, got this amount of money? The numbers that were thrown out of there out 2 years ago were not even close to what was real, but everybody, it's like a rumor got started and all of a sudden it gets, quadrupled or whatever it might be. But I do think it's going to be an interesting study for somebody to do it, to look at the effect that it's had on college athletics. But this question that you're asking is about the sport that we love, and that's college baseball. Now, I'm going to head down that path, which, and we started this podcast with the idea of what college baseball looks like. You guys all have different pieces in your life that this time of year resonates in your brain of just how special it is. We went through memory lane when we started this conversation, talking about Rosenblatt and talking about, different, and then we made our way, Jordan, to your era of the new ballpark and everything. Along the way, college base, and we talked about ESPN Plus. And college baseball is bigger better, more popular, more graceful, more exciting, and just every word you can use to describe something that you care about and that you love about something. I think college baseball is in that space right now. And if you look at the number of people that are watching games on TV, the number of people that are going to games, the conversation that the four of us are having tonight on a Wednesday night in June. And so if you start thinking about all those things, it starts to translate. We're not the only ones. I mean, you look over to the corner TV, and it's a commercial right now. But if you look, there are people, swarming that stadium. It's the headlines of, ESPN at night, and it's all those things that it's that time of year where the dinging of the metal bat resonates, from February till now. Along the way, it just keeps getting bigger. And I've been, look at the resources that college administrators are putting into it. Look at the facilities that are being built around college baseball, because now it's a revenue generating opportunity for schools and an opportunity for people, their universities, to be recognized. Murray State, think about the recognition, Murray State got a. And if you look at what ESPN's platform has done, and ESPN Plus, if you want to watch a game, you can watch it. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I just think people now look at it and go, hey, look, I want to watch college baseball tonight. Or I want my son, or I want my daughter to watch college softball, but I want my son to watch college baseball because that's what he's, playing on this summer league team. And this is what he aspires to do. And now you couldn't find it in the 90s. I used to see, I think there were a couple of channels that would have something, and but that was it. And so the state, I mean, it's grown exponentially. I think it's unbelievable right now. Everything has a fault, right? Everything has a war here and there that we can try to fix a little bit, right? But man, this place, I mean, it is just unbelievable. It's on fire right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, it has definitely made it more accessible, exciting. Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Did Arkansas just hit? I think Arkansas just hit a home run, friends.
Yeah, they did. They hit a home run.
Okay.
A solo?
Solo.
Solo?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, they're calling up the Hogs right now. I can tell you that. No more.
The worst.
This is a funny random one, and you don't have to answer because I know you have to go into a lot of these places. But who's maybe the best fan base and the most annoying fan base you've ever had to listen to or be around?
Good question. Wow. Okay. Well, I've been to almost all of them at some point in time, either when I was at Texas State or Texas. One of the hardest ones back in the day, in the 80s, was for the Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. And my senior year, we had to win 2 out of 3 there to win the Southwest Conference, and we did. Kevin Garner got us a soul through a complete game, 9 inning. He never thrown more than 3 or 4 innings in a game all year, and he goes complete 9 inning, win for us. But it was because the dugouts were small, and you had fans right there, like you walk out, and there were people standing right there, and letting you know how they felt about you and your family and your heritage and everything that went with it, and then I've been LSU was. LSU and Louisiana Lafayette are similar, that it's the most engaging, and then the game gets going, and then they're hollering at you, and as soon as the game's over, they're beating. Yeah. So there's a lot of different emotions going on there, right? And but it's always fun and exciting, and I like, part of that too is when you would pull your bus in on game day. It's those 2 places and others, but when you pulled your bus in, there was tailgating everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can kind of see your kids kind of all of a sudden go, all right, this is going to be all right. And this is going to be fun. Mm-hmm. And so, look, I'm sure there's others that, man, when I was in the South one, it was always, going to Nichols and playing in front of 50 people then. And, it was a challenge, but, for your players and different places like that. But now that place has even grown too, and they've done unbelievable as well. But yeah, I mean, there's always the places that you would have circled on your calendar that you looked at. For me, I enjoyed going to this fall to some level. I knew it was always going to be a challenge to win. It was always a challenge midweek for us to win. And but I liked going back there. That was home for me, right? But it was also, to go play in this fall was our kids loved it. I mean, they enjoyed it too. And so then if we go around Rock and do different places too, but yeah, I mean, they're not like by the time the game gets going, you fans are on it. You're so mad at an umpire at that point in time anyway.
Yeah, worry about that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I love it. That was a fun question. All right, Coach, maybe one of our last ones for us before we let Jody and Shelly get all personal. But what advice would you give a young coach watching this year's College World Series, like dreaming of leading a team there someday? Any words of wisdom?
Yeah, there really is. I don't know that I'll be able to formulate it in a way that would make a whole lot of sense for everybody. Mine's probably more out of experience. And the game itself is still about the players and trying to really, truly teach them the right way to play, or trying to teach them the way to play the game in a manner that makes them better, that gives them a day to, reason to wake up every morning and still love and enjoy it. And then also I read something this morning on social media that came across that, some parent is praying for their child to have the best opportunity they can have playing baseball. Do your job as a coach. And if you think that and put that into perspective of what that means, and from a leadership perspective of what you're trying to do for some person's life, in the direction you want to take them, and you want to help them get to, I think is still one of the most remarkable things about coaching. What has made it tough is it is a business, and can be a transactional business. There's a lot of things that go into that, right? And the amount of pressure that coaches are on. I mean, that's a human emotion and a human feeling too. And, I think that, it's still having that faith in what you're doing is still leading young men. And trying to make their lives better and trying to win baseball games for your university. And that's what you get paid to do. Right. That's what it is. So, but in reality, if I was a young coach, because what I do recognize is coaches that are smart enough to work as hard as you can work, or possibly work within the confines of what they give you to work. And then you really work hard for your university and for your kids, as importantly, things to work out. And for young coach, I would ask them to, kind of follow those guidelines. It's easier said than done, too, by the way. It truly is.
Yeah. Well, as a principal of an elementary school, I kind of tell my young teachers the same thing. So it's not necessary.
Yeah.
If we're here for the kids every single day, if you lose sight of that, then you lose sight of like your why and the passion why we come and do this work every day. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a way to look at this, particularly about the university, whether it's University of Texas or, Texas State as well. But as coaches, the moment you think you're bigger than the place you're done. This place was University of Texas and Texas State, both two of the dearest places in my heart. But certainly University of Texas, I know you guys, dear to y'all, but and all of us, but that place has been here for a really long time. And you know what? It's going to be here longer.
We're gone. Yep.
Our job, or anybody's job when they're a part of it, is to help it, to keep building on to it and to what it stands for and what it can be. And, facilitate the best way we can to success and And that's the way it is. But this place is going to be here long after we're gone.
Yep.
That's such a great way to wrap this up with you, too, with some wise words of advice. I love this. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Always.
Thank you.
Now, you guys, next year, the only thing I'm going to say is next year, if I don't come on in February before we get started, I'm going to boycott left field. I'm going to stand out in right field by myself with the headphones on, and I'm going to go get a picnic table, and I'm going to set it out in right field. I'm going to sit on it by myself if you guys don't ask me to come on before the season gets started.
I'm writing this down right now.
Yeah,
yes, you're noting right now.
Definitely. You're back on. This was great. I love storytelling. I love hearing all about your experiences and your insights. It's been awesome. Ty, thank you so much. And you're definitely coming back on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Anything, I tell you what, you guys do such an unbelievable job, and it's fun to get a chance to spend some time with you. But I would say this, one last thing, and I try to say it as many times as I can. College baseball is bigger and better than it's ever been. And usually ladies are a big part of it as well. And so y'all's love and passion for it is unbelievable. And it does not go unnoticed. It is completely noticed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That means a lot. Yeah.
All right. See y'all in left field.
Welcome.
Welcome.